Hello again. The instinctive Pavlovian response of many people in Australia to the dreadful shooting at Bondi Beach is to call for new laws on the ownership of guns. Of course, this would be an absolutely brilliant idea if only criminals obeyed the law. But it is rather in the nature of criminals that they do not obey the law, and therein lies the difficulty. Britain has some ferociously tough laws regarding the ownership of guns, so thorough that the chances of a private individual obtaining a firearm certificate to possess a handgun are practically zero. And yet, shootings still take place in Britain on a fairly regular basis. Yesterday, a man was charged with attempted murder by shooting somebody in Huddersfield. Last month, a 16-year-old boy was shot in Sheffield. In September, a man was shot dead in the London district of Clapham, and in the same month, a man was shot dead in Clissold Park in Hackney. In August, another man was shot dead in Stoke Newington. There are, it seems, plenty of guns floating about, despite all those laws. In fact, it is not severe laws which stop people shooting each other. It is what kind of people you have in your country. Let me take viewers back to 1965, 60 years ago. At that time, there were no restrictions whatsoever on the sale of shotguns and ammunition. No firearm certificate, identification, age checking, nothing at all. Anybody who looked as though they were 21 could walk into a gun shop and buy a 12-bore shotgun and a box of ammunition and then walk off without identifying themselves or registering or doing anything else. They just handed over the cash and that was that. At the same time, in Ilford County High for Boys Grammar School in the London district of Barkingside, there was both a rifle range and an armoury in the school for the cadet force based there. The armoury was simply a locked cupboard which was stocked with 303 rifles and, almost unbelievably, submachine guns. There was a rack of Sten guns left over from the Second World War. Schoolboys were in charge of that cupboard and they issued rifles to other teenage boys who wanted to use the range. How many shootings and murders by firearms do you suppose were seen in Britain at that time when guns were just all over the place and freely available? The answer is, of course, that such things were unheard of. And when there was a single shooting, say the use of a firearm by one of the Cray brothers or something, it was front page news for days. Loads of guns floating about freely, teenage boys with access to machine guns, and no shootings. Why was that, do viewers think? The answer is, of course, that guns by themselves are simply harmless and inert objects and no more hazardous than a screwdriver or a shovel. It is when certain people get their hands on them that the trouble begins. Not ordinary people, you understand, but certain types. All the laws in the world will not prevent those types from getting hold of firearms and using them in public places to kill people. And that is why tightening up the laws around guns in Australia or anywhere else is utterly pointless.